Good evening, race fans, one and all. Welcome to another episode of The Lap Down. I am your host, Greg Farmer, and with me tonight is JP, Eli, Ryan, Jamie, and Brett. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
About as good
Yep,
as we can be.
yep, doing all
Yep.
right.
Yep. So we're gonna do something a little bit different tonight. If you guys watched our episode that we posted on Friday, it was our tribute episode to the late great Kyle Busch. We are going to continue with that this evening, as there are some people here who were not here on Friday, and I am going to turn it over to Mr. Eli Sneed. Eli, take it away.
All right, guys, thank you. Um, as Greg said, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I I've got a short statement to read off, and then we're gonna go to each person that wants something to say, and you can say whatever you want to say, and you can take as much time as you need to say whatever you need to say. I would ask that everyone just be respectful, don't talk over everybody, just hear what that person has to say, and when we're done, we'll move on to the next person. Um, on May 21st, 2026, NASCAR lost a legend of the sport. Kyle Busch, two-time champion, driver of the number 8 Chevrolet for Richard Childers Racing, suddenly passed away in Charlotte, North Carolina on Thursday night. Kyle leads the all-time wins in all three top national series among the active drivers with a total of 234 wins, his last win being at Dover in the Craftsman Truck Series. Kyle is survived by his father, his mother, his wife Samantha, and his brother Kurt, and his two children, Brexton and Lennox Bush. Kyle passed away from severe complications from pneumonia, which ultimately turned into a severe case of sepsis, according to a press release from Kyle Busch's family. Kyle was not scheduled to race in any events this past weekend at Charlotte. Richard Childers Racing released a statement early Thursday morning stating that Kyle has been hospitalized due to severe illness. Kyle was 41 years old. Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll start. Um, you know, I I commend Kyle Busch's family for being there this weekend. Um, it it had to have been tough, but you yeah, I could start a healing process if you're Kyle Busch's family in some way. And I would say this: out of everything NASCAR's ever been through, I think Steve O'Donnell, NASCAR president, did a fantastic job with what he said in the media center and what he said um, on on a on the TV when they did tribute for Kyle Busch. And I believe that, you know, you look at uh, the car numbers he recently drove, um, the 7 car winning um, in the Cup race this weekend, I think it's very, very nice, given that Kyle Busch was racing a 7 truck last weekend and 7 car won this weekend with Daniel Suarez behind the wheel. And I just I feel for his family, like everyone does. And you know, and you and I just really want to say this, you know, Breckenbush, you know, he's got good memories of his dad coaching him racing, and I believe that the 8 number being retired till Breckenbush is ready to go NASCAR racing is a very fitting thing to do. With that being said, the next person can go.
Very well said.
Yeah, that was good. For me, I wasn't the biggest Kyle Busch fan at first, which is kind of ironic considering that I was a Dale Earnhardt fan in his heyday, and Kyle definitely had the outlaw esque personality similar to Dale. Um, it's tough. Uh, and I'm one of the older ones in this group, so having to go through everything that I did back when Dale died at Daytona to the sudden passing of Kyle Busch is two generational talents that were taken gone too soon. And ironically enough, like if you think about it, like majority of the people, not just on this podcast, but in today's day and age, they only heard about the legend of Dale Earnhardt. Kyle Busch was the Dale Earnhardt of this generation. And I think what they did on Sunday was a great tribute. It caught all of us, like I think we all kind of expected a little bit of what was to be had on Sunday, but we didn't see the full extent that they went out with. And on a Memorial Day weekend, I really applaud uh, NASCAR for incorporating a military honor for Kyle Busch for everything that he's done for NASCAR, for the sport, uh, not just on the track but off the track. Definitely, definitely well earned. Many people have talked about Kyle as like growing up in the limelight from being the spunky, rowdy kid that he was to becoming a father and actually showcasing the emotional side to him that wasn't just yelling and screaming at his spotters. And it definitely gave me the opportunity to become a fan of his. I think I've been a fan of his for the past like 4 or 5 years. Like I said at the very beginning, I was definitely not a Kyle Busch fan. Um, but you can't speak against the greatness that was on the track. You can't speak against the level of competition and the bar that was raised because of him. And as far as icons and personality traits, this is a big blow to NASCAR. Um, I think there's some drivers out there that could potentially take the baton, but they still have a way to go to even get close to laying that torch on fire. Um, but definitely, like everybody else, thinking about uh, the Bush family and just all of the range of emotions that they're going through, and just praying for them each and every single day. That's the best thing that I can do. I'm good.
That was good. I'll go next. Like I said on Friday's episode, I've been a fan of racing ever since I was a little kid, and the first race I ever watched was the 01 Daytona 500. And after that race, my parents pretty much stopped watching. Like, they would watch it here and there, but not to the extent that they did. And I grew up, like, starting around 03, 04 is when I really got into NASCAR, like, full time. And I watched Kyle come in, hot-headed, young, cocky. And, I mean, he had every right to be because he was a great driver. And, everybody talks about the moment that they started hating Kyle Busch, and I guarantee you 95% of NASCAR fans will tell you exactly when that happened. Richmond, 2008, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. incident. I'm part of that 95%. But there was no denying his talent at all. It doesn't matter what car he got behind the wheel of. He was a rock star in that vehicle. And I found myself becoming more of a fan of his. I think it was probably around the last year that he was with JGR, and then he was going to RCR. And I started pulling for him pretty good. And the announcement on Thursday caught me off guard, saying that he was in the hospital. And I wouldn't say that it was out of the ordinary, because normally when they say that a driver's going to miss a race due to illness, they'll give an update later on saying, that they'll hoping to be back or something like that. But just the wording of the initial announcement was a little weird. And my buddy Brandon, who has been on the show before, he texted me around 5:30 that evening and said that he was getting worried. And I asked him why, and he said that some of the same people that were reporting the news earlier in the day about him being in the hospital were now sending praying hands out to, like, tagging people and stuff. And I texted him back these exact words. I said, "You don't think he died, did you?" And he said, "I sure hope not." And not even 5 minutes later, literally 5 minutes, I was standing in my kitchen. I get a notification from NASCAR and Bob Pockrass at the same time on my phone, making the announcement that he had passed away. And I called Brandon. I tried to call Eli, but I believe he was in the car. I called the group chat, and Brett was the only one who picked up. I get everybody was busy. I'm not mad at y'all for not picking up, but we got in the car, and I listened to probably 4 or 5 hours of Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Dave Moody, Doug Rice, all of them talk, like, having people call in. They had some drivers and former KBM personnel call in to, share memories and stuff. And it really didn't hit me. Like, I was upset, but it really didn't hit me until Sunday, when they had the entire field, or the whole garage, out on pit road. And then you saw Kyle's family walk out with Kurt and his parents, and then they put the camera over on Samantha and Brexton. The amount of emotion that overcame me, just thinking they mustered up enough energy and courage to still go out in public like this. And, like JP said, Steve O'Donnell did a fantastic job presenting those words to Kyle's family and all of that. And then they went straight into Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. And let me tell you, as soon as I heard that, I started bawling. Like, it hit me so hard in that moment. And I don't know if you guys saw the video that someone caught of Kyle Larson's son, Owen, walking up to Brexton on pit road and giving him a hug. I feel for Samantha and Kurt and his parents and all that, but I can't imagine what Brexton is going through right now. Kyle was Brexton's dad, his best friend, his mentor, making sure he was staying on the right path as far as racing. And now he's got to carry the pressure of, if he decides to continue racing, he's got to carry the pressure of the Busch name and hope and pray that he's going to be good enough for his dad's fans, because that's who they're going to be looking for when he gets ready to enter the NASCAR series if he decides to go race NASCAR. That young man was just sitting there holding his mom and all that good stuff, and it just, my heart like broke for them, and just like everything that they've done over the last few days, as far as, like RCR put out a statement earlier today, thanking Kyle for everything that he did and all that, and then they said that Richard would be available to do media on June the 6th before Michigan. Obviously has fans clamoring and wondering what he's going to be talking about and stuff, and I just, in short, I'm sorry for rambling, but NASCAR is not going to be the same without Kyle Busch. 100%. And I hope and pray that if Brexton decides to keep racing, and he's got his friends Owen Larson and Keelan Harvick, and they come up through the ranks together, if they are as good as what they are, and from what I've seen, and they come into NASCAR, I think NASCAR is going to be in good hands here in the near future.
Also, to kind of go along with that, um, I definitely caught that same moment, Greg, and it was a little bit of warmth in on a dreary day, seeing uh Owen come up to Brexton. And when we're talking about carrying on a legacy due to a last name, like, I'm sure there's already been conversations, but if I was Dale Jr., I would make it my life's work to make sure that Brexton has every resource possible to be able to go through life and to deal with the same things, because the only person that can really relate to Brexton is Dale Jr. And I feel like he will, but it's that I just felt like I had to say that.
Yeah. No,
And
Ryan,
sorry.
I know you. Well, I want to get to Ryan here in a second.
Yep.
Speaking of Dale Jr., I saw a clip today that was posted on Twitter. Dale Jr. just recorded the download earlier today, and they posted a clip. And Dale said that he was texting with Kyle the day before he passed, and they were supposed to meet this coming Thursday. And Kyle was going to bring his seat over to Junior Motorsports for a fitting and a molding, because Kyle was going to run a Cars Tour race for Junior Motorsports later this year. And he said that he asked Kyle, what scheme do you want to run? What number? He said, we can do anything you want. He said, if you want to run the 51, you want to run the 18, he said, we'll make it happen. And he said Kyle texted him back, and he said he was in shock when he read this. He said Kyle texted back and said he wanted to run the Bud 8. And he said Kyle sent the emoji of the exploding head and the equal sign, and it said race fans, because it would have sent the racing world in just a complete spiral. Oh my God, Kyle Busch is going to run a Budweiser 8. It's like, it kind of feels like, full circle, almost. But I just wanted to share that. Ryan, please.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
multiple fans clamoring for him to do that throwback at Darlington one of these years as well, down the stretch. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. But yeah, it was a long week for, I feel like, everybody. Yeah, really long week. But yeah, I just want to share one of my favorite Kyle Busch stories. which was I don't remember which year it was, but one of the summer Daytona races. Late at night after everybody had gone to bed, Kyle Busch went down to the camping area. Anyone who had a Kyle Busch flag raised, he went, lowered it down, signed it, put it back up for them so they could see it in the morning. Just one of those things that, whether you liked him or hated him on the track, he was a great guy off the track, raised a great kid.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. It's Did anybody else notice this too during the broadcast on Sunday? Obviously, we're gonna get into it here in a few minutes, but the weather was just wreaking havoc in Charlotte all weekend, from like Thursday night into Sunday, really. But did anybody notice when Steve O'Donnell turned to Samantha and Brexton and started talking to them, the sun came out for the first time in 4 days?
Yes. I I I I I noticed that.
I'm gonna be honest,
So
I couldn't even see out of my eyes. So I'm glad that you said that because all I saw was streams of water in my eyes. So
Yeah. No, if you go to the Sports on Prime TikTok page, they posted that whole thing, and it just like literally the exact moment when Steve turns to Samantha, Brexton, and Lennox and says, "You're part of the NASCAR family forever." The sun came out, and it literally was like beaming down, and it literally looked like it was just on Samantha and the kids. It was incredible, but Eli, I know you put out the statement stuff, but is there anything you wanted to share?
So, last night, I got back from Charlotte and unpacked, did all the joys of that, and I knew we had a podcast coming up. Obviously, I wasn't there Thursday, when that tribute was put out. So I sat down last night at the computer and I started typing at like 10 o'clock at night, and I got done about 4. I sat on the phone with actually one of the podcast members, Ryan. I sat on the phone with him for about an hour. I did the same with Brett, and I finished it about 4 in the morning. And I printed it off, and I woke up this morning and I was just kind of reading over it, and it was 19 pages. And I guess I just have some of that Kyle Busch in me, but it wasn't perfect enough. So I threw it in the trash, and I was like, we're just going to speak from the heart. Um, you know, I'm 20 years old. I've followed racing since 2007. My first ever race was in '07. Um, I guess everybody remembers when Kyle Busch got out of the number 5 car and said these cars suck. That was my first race. I don't remember it. Um, the first one, we'll put it this way. I had 2 drivers growing up. I had Kyle and I had Jeff. I liked Jeff because my parents liked Jeff. I liked Kyle because every Friday after we got out of school, we went to Food City and I got a pack of M&Ms, and that's what drew me to Kyle. Um, my first ever memory of seeing Kyle win was in 2011 in the spring. Um, I thought it was a pretty good race. I think I slept for maybe through a quarter of it. I was like the cutest baby there ever. I had the coolest Kyle Busch shirt. Um, no one could hang with my shit that day. I was pretty cool. That was the first time that I had ever been picked up by random strangers wearing Kyle Busch stuff because they were hard to find. Bristol was a rough neighborhood for Kyle Busch fans, even though he won there a lot. They were hard to come by some years. Um, this was something that I figured that I would struggle with here right now, and it's finding a direction to go to it with tonight because there's so much that I could talk about. And I just want it to feel right when I say it. I guess I'll branch off a little bit and I'll go to Thursday. Thursday morning, I woke up and I went to work like everybody else did that day. I got there and I was drinking my coffee and I saw that Richard Childers Racing had put out a statement. And, we all know what that statement was. It was about severe illness. And I think my exact words for when I screenshot it and put it in the chat was holy shit, because I knew something was wrong. Like Greg said earlier, severe illness can mean a lot of things, right? The first thing, and I'm going to make this very clear before I say this, because I know this has kind of been a sensitive subject, and I don't want to speculate, and I'm not speculating. I'm just giving where I was at that day. I knew that he had a sinus infection at Watkins Glen. And then Sunday at Dover, I noticed when he did an interview, they asked him how he was feeling, and he said he wasn't feeling much better. And I kind of started putting two to two together, and I knew something wasn't right. About 12 o'clock that day, I got a call from my buddy Sadler, and he lives in Statesville. He's at Millbridge just about every time they run at Millbridge. And he called me around 12 o'clock, and he was like, something's wrong. Something's really wrong, and it needs to stay between us, but something's wrong. And he was telling me some of the rumors that had been circulating around Millbridge and in the Concord and Charlotte area. And I'm not going to get into those just because that is pure speculation. But my honest to God reaction to it was I laughed. I was like, no, no, that's not true. So I got off the phone with him, and Thursday we packed the car and we were heading to Charlotte, and I started getting a series of phone calls, one after another. And I'm driving, of course, and it is pouring the rain. And my honest to God first reaction was when I started getting all these calls, and then I got a text right before I shut my phone down and do not disturb, was I needed to check the news. And I was like, damn it, we've got bombed. We ain't gonna be able to watch Coke 600 this weekend. We're going to war. Something like, just completely not that. And I went to Facebook and I saw 1985 to 2026 Kyle Busch. And I was like, no, that's not right. So then I got another phone call. I did answer that phone call, and the more I started looking into it and reading it, it was real. And I didn't want it to be real. There was no words for that. Just a few weeks ago, I was talking with some guys, and we were talking about, was Kyle Busch going to get another win in the Cup Series? Was he going to contend for a truck title? How many more Truck Series wins was he going to get? And I think that's the hardest thing to comprehend about all of this is there wasn't really a warning or a lead up to it that we are, publicly aware of, or, there's just so much we don't know. And, that's that. I guess just going to branch off here again. I started last night going through interviews I had from Daytona. I had a guy message me, and he needed an interview that we did, and we never sent it to him. So I'm really sorry about that, Max. But better late than never. But anyways, I found filmed the Kyle Busch interview, and the question was this your best year to win the Daytona 500, and how many of these shots are you going to get? And Kyle told us that he felt like this was his best shot to win the Daytona 500, and you don't know how many more shots like this you're going to get. So you have to make the best of every opportunity. We didn't win the Daytona 500 because we didn't want to rush to the wreck. And now when I look at that statement on that piece of paper, it was never about how many shots of this are you going to get or how many more runs of that are you going to get. It's about taking the opportunities and the chances that you have now while you're here and while you're living to make the best of them, because you don't know how many more of those shots and how many more of those trials and errors that you're going to get in life. Life isn't a fair game. And there's going to be several days where you don't win and you don't come out ahead. But the days that you do come out ahead and the days that you do win, you need to make the damn best sure that you are making the most of those opportunities, because you don't know how many more of those you're going to get. I'll go ahead and try to wrap this up. Just being at the track this weekend was by far the best day and the worst day I've ever had in my life. I went to the infield once. It was very quiet. Like, usually everybody's, trying to get answers, things like that. Carson Hocevar walked right in front of me. Right? No one said a word to him. If that kind of puts it in, that's big. Sunday, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have any sense of direction on where I was going with it. As Jamie and Greg both touched on with the pre-race ceremonies, no one expected any of those people, to be there, and that says a lot. That says a whole lot. I was talking to Ryan last night, and the positives of this weekend you had to find, and when you did find them, you had to enjoy them. I think a few of the positives were just being with Rowdy Nation. I've never drank so much beer with strangers in my life. I have never hugged so many strangers in my life. I have never cried with so many strangers in my life. We made sure that everyone was taken care of this weekend. I met a girl that was walking back to her car. She might have been three or four. And she saw, I'm wearing the Cheddar shirt, and she pulled on it, was talking to me, and, trying to cross the street and, talk to a child. So you're like in this weird position, trying to bend down and talk. And, she was asking me questions about, what's my favorite Kyle Busch thing, and you're just trying to stay positive. But she had just started crying, and I looked over at her and I'm like, what's wrong? And you know what's wrong. But she never got the chance to meet Kyle. So before we had left Thursday and before we had knew, I had packed both of my Cheddar's hats. And I went over to her and I gave her the one I had got autographed in Daytona, and I put it on her head. And that's what it's all about right there. Um, there wasn't any positive really this weekend, but just trying to help one another was positive, and making sure everyone was taken care of. Um, that's the Rowdy Nation I know. That's the fan base I know. Um, and lastly, I'll close with this. You know, it's no hidden secret that I used to hate Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. fans. Did not like them. I still stand by the fact they're a cult, but we love them. They're a little bit rowdy, but we love them. But they always found a way to get under my skin, and they would say that NASCAR died when Dale died. That's what they would say. Well, I don't know the sport. I've only seen the sport after Dale. I don't know. But Friday, after I had got a chance to compose my thoughts and stuff, I see what they mean. NASCAR didn't die. NASCAR wasn't broken, but their interest to NASCAR did die, because the thing that they have done for the past how many ever years they have watched has been ripped away from them, and they don't get that back. So to those Dell Jr. and Dell Sr. fans, I understand now, and I get it. I may not know how you felt when that happened, but I get it. It's always been said that you cannot, if you just cannot tell the story of NASCAR without mentioning someone's name, then they probably helped shape the industry in some fashion. I don't know about y'all, but I can't tell the story of NASCAR without mentioning Kyle Busch somewhere in there. It is virtually impossible. So tonight, I'm thinking about Brexton. Brexton, if you want to do this, then Rowdy Nation's got your back. But don't do it because you feel like you have to do it for your dad. Do it because you want to do it. I I pray for Lennox, who doesn't have a father anymore. That's something, as much as we're all hurting, you can't replace a father. Samantha, you lost your husband. You you'll never have that back. And Kurt, you lost a brother, and you lost a damn good brother. I'm praying for you guys. You guys have done so much for the NASCAR industry. You've done so much outside of the NASCAR industry for families who struggle with infertility. Um, and for Kyle, just keep giving heaven a little bit more hell. Keep at it. Because I hope you're beating Dale Sr. up there tonight on the track somewhere. I know you are. But for me, um, in Rowdy Nation, we're going to get through this. And it's going to take time. Um, it's it's not going to be something that's going to be fixed by next Sunday. This isn't the new normal. This is a new temporary. And you don't have to worry about trying to pick a new driver tonight or tomorrow. If you want to continue following the sport, you'll find that when you're ready. And it's going to suck some days, and other days it isn't going to be so bad. But we're going to get through this as an industry. and we're going to move forward. So, Kyle, thank you for everything you've done. Um, Kyle Busch was a NASCAR legend who became a nation's best friend.
That was good. I don't think I could have said that better myself, Eli. You're a good person too, for real. That story with the little girl, that you're a really good person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love you, buddy.
Yeah. As we transition to get to some other stuff we need to talk about, like Eli said, we're all hurting right now, and that's okay. Just pray for the Busch family and for Samantha and Lennox and Brexton, and I hope they find peace in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. But we are going to transition into our recap segment, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Holy crud. As we mentioned a few minutes ago, number one, the weather was wreaking absolute havoc in Charlotte this past weekend. The Truck Series was supposed to run Friday night. They made it out on the track for pace laps before the skies started to open up, and so they red flagged it. Ended up postponing the race until Saturday morning. Saturday morning rolls around, and it's still a washout. So they were like, okay, well, we're going to run it at 9 o'clock Saturday night after the O'Reilly Series race. Well, we are going to talk about the O'Reilly Series race first, because technically that was the first race that happened this weekend. Boy, was it something. After, was it one or two rain delays? Two rain delays. They finally got back out on track, but as Eli was informing us from in person at the track and sending us pictures, it was extremely foggy for that last little while that they were able to run. And it was actually so foggy, in fact, that NASCAR failed to see Dawson Cram lose an engine going into turn one and dumping oil all over the track, and the entire top 10 went into turn one and slid up and smacked the wall. It reminded me of the 2001 All-Star race. And they threw the caution shortly thereafter, and then the rains came yet again, and Ross Chastain ended up winning in the Junior Motorsports number 9, and the sentimental favorites of the weekend, Jesse Love and Austin Hill, as much as I hate to say it, ended up finishing second and third. And before we get into everybody's thoughts on it, I saw a lot of people complaining online because they only made it to lap 91 of 200. And apparently there's a lot of people out there who don't understand the rule. It's an official race when it's either halfway or the end of stage 2, whichever comes first. Well, stage 2 just so happened to end right before halfway. And, you know, fans were complaining, oh, they didn't even make it 100 laps in the race before they called it, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. But we'll start with Jamie. Did you happen to catch any of the O'Reilly race on Saturday? If so, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I didn't going into the O'Reilly race. I didn't really know how much of it I was going to get to watch initially. Thankfully, the weather played in my favor, to where I was able to get home, get the kids in bed, and actually be able to sit in my recliner and just try to heal a little bit and just focus on the racing. And like I understand where some people were coming from, but NASCAR did the absolute right thing. The visibility was not there, and even the broadcasters were even mentioning it to the point where we knew, like, if it wasn't for the raindrops, like, I don't know if they probably would try to go back out another time, but I don't know how safe it would have been. Um, but as far as the racing itself, I enjoyed the racing itself. It and maybe on any other type of weekend, we would be kind of getting into it a little bit and just kind of looking at different drivers' performances and doing, maybe making fun of a driver for having just a crappy day and saying you should just pack it up and let everybody else run. But I don't know, that race was the first point for me to kind of, in a way, almost forget, because you can't really forget, but I would say get distracted by the performance and everyone giving their all, uh, to do honor as best as they could.
All right. What about you, JP?
So, um, you know, the O'Reilly race, it was it was a good race. You know, each, each station that covers NASCAR did their own tribute for Kyle Busch, and I thought, ev- everything aside from that whole situation, people were trying to race their butts off for Kyle Busch, and it was very powerful to see. Um, and I I believe that NASCAR did their hardest work to try to uh make it as safe as possible, but you know, there comes a time when you say enough is enough, and the fog wasn't getting much better. I was watching that race and I could barely see the cars. And I kind of figured they'd call it. Um, and, you know, like you said, Greg, it either comes to halfway or skates too. And the completion of skates too, and I had to bring that one to my dad. It's like, been watching NASCAR for so long. What, you know, I thought it was halfway, and I said, no, it's whatever comes first. And it happened to be skates too. But, I mean, while Scott's game was in the right place at the right time, he won that race. Everyone did Kyle Busch's bow, who won races there this weekend, and I thought that was cool to see that other drivers cared so much about Kyle Busch that he was very well honored not only by NASCAR but the drivers he competed against.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna kick it over to Ryan. I know he's fired up now because he just sent me a picture in our message just a minute ago. My Atlanta Braves beat his Boston Red Sox 7-6 tonight. So, Ryan, you want to rant? Let's do it.
Well, the Red Sox season ended about as quickly as it started, so yeah, that's all I got to say about the Red Sox. This season's been over for a couple months already, but yeah, I feel like the biggest thing when it came to the O'Reilly race, because I think the thing we're all going to be talking about is the how the race ended. I almost question that if it wasn't for how packed and how impactful, obviously, not just Sunday, but with how packed that schedule already was going to be with trucks, with Indy, with Charlotte for the 600. If that might have been a part of why they decided to because didn't they run like 15 or 20 straight pace laps just to nurse it to the end of the stage? Yeah, so that they could call the race official rather than having to come back, say, Monday potentially for the O'Reilly cars.
Yeah, they did run a good number of caution laps there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was literally about 15 straight pace laps there at the end just to nurse it to the caution thing. And I'm curious if we didn't have, if it wasn't the Indy 500 in that middle slate, if we might have had a full NASCAR day on Sunday with trucks in the morning, O'Reilly in the middle, and then finishing it off with the Coke 600 at night. Obviously, no racing event is going to compete with the Indy 500 in that same time slot. I'm
Nope.
sure F1
Well,
tried, but I don't have a clue how F1 did this week.
no, I didn't watch any F1, but I was like, well, we'll get to that whole time slot thing here in a little bit.
Yeah, but I feel like that's going to end up being the storyline from the O'Reilly race. I mean, it's cool to see Ross Chastain get it. Wish we could have gone the full distance, gotten a full race in, but as we will get to later on this week or later on in this episode, that seemed to be a trend of the weekend.
Yep. Eli, you were there at the track. What do you got to share? What about you, Brett?
Well, there's not much I can add because everybody's covered most of everything for it. But I understand why NASCAR called it halfway with the fog and such. Safety has got to be their number one priority. So with them calling it and all the pace laps, I don't blame them for the pace laps because you got to think they're more worried about safety than product sometimes.
Yeah, no, I understand. But so
Yeah, and
moving
again,
to
given the weekend, I totally understand the logistical nightmare it would have been if they weren't able to complete one of the 3 races before Sunday.
yeah,
Because yeah, that would have been a logistical nightmare if they didn't get at least one of the 3 races done.
yep. So moving to Sunday, the Truck Series race got postponed until 10 o'clock Sunday morning. And with F1 not being at Monaco anymore, it actually kind of worked out. It's actually interesting, too. I was listening to the Teardown earlier today, and Jordan Bianchi, who was in Charlotte this weekend, he was like doing his rounds and stuff, and he had went and asked a couple of the Truck Series teams if they were going to try to still run Saturday night, and he said that they told him that they hadn't had really any direction from NASCAR as to what the plan was, that it was a quote-unquote fluid plan, and that if the O'Reilly race was able to get to its scheduled distance, then they would have run the truck race Saturday night, early Sun, like basically in the middle of the night Sunday morning, just to get it in. But obviously those plans changed, and we moved to 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Holy crash fest, Batman! On Sunday morning with the Truck Series, these guys were racing literally like their lives depended on it, and they told the teams before the race started that this was going to be a timed race, which means they were racing until 12 o'clock noon. And when the clock struck 12, the next time the leader came around, they would see the white flag or two to go, and then the white flag, and then the checkered flag. And it literally like turned into like
you
a
had it right
massive...
the first time when they at noon they would see the white flag the next time by.
Oh, okay, I got you. No, I got you. Yeah, it just turned into a crash fest, and they just kept on wrecking and stuff. And there was one really big boneheaded wreck that I saw that I'm gonna save for a segment here in a little while. But clock struck 12. They had a caution come out, and the race ultimately ending under caution with Lane Riggs securing the win for Front Row Motorsports. Jamie, starting with you, how did you feel about that truck race Sunday morning?
I only got to see clips of it because I was in church. But yeah, I think you summed it up pretty good because it seemed like by the time I got out of church, it was about 11:45, and I happened to look at my phone, and the the amount of clips of just truck after truck after truck after truck getting caught up in something was astonishing to me. I didn't know about the time thing at that point in time, but it was the only good spotlight that I can see on it is the bow. The tribute to Kyle with doing the iconic bow with the flag. Um, that that was good for me to see, to kind of gear myself up towards Sunday night. But yeah, like I said, I didn't get to see much, but the volume of wrecks that happened during that race, it makes sense to me now with it being a timed race that everyone was young, they didn't eat their Wheaties in the morning, and they drove like they needed Red Bull.
disrespectful.
What about you, JP?
So, with it being a time race, I kind of was watching some highlights, and that's what things gonna happen when people get desperate, and that's what happens with a time race. And and I just saw Corey Day almost flip, got 7 o'clock for Spire Motorsports on highlights and stuff. Cause I wasn't around during the truck race. I started watching it, and then I had to go hang out with a friend that was already pre pre planned. So, and then I saw the highlight of Coin almost flipping the clutch, like I said. So very class, um, you know, very stupid that the clutch series came to that. But it's kind of one of the things. People do things that are kind of a bonehead, I'll say, nice way to put it, bonehead moves to get the race in, time race, and and they all knew it.
Yeah. Now that wreck with Corey Day was really scary, but that was probably best case scenario what happened. Because if he would have gone over,
Yeah, roof
who
first into that wall would not have been gentle.
no, either into the wall or there was no fence right there either. He could have gone over that wall and ended up in the freaking infield too. But Eli,
Wait, they don't have a fence there?
no, there's no fence right there where he hit.
Wow, that is a careless spot to not have a fence.
Yeah, but Eli, what about you?
Did we have any trucks left to tear up?
That is correct. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now. Brett.
Well, I ain't got much to add. I just have. Well, yeah. I do have one thing, but it's probably going to be in the later segment by a driver mistake. But I'm going to leave it for later. But all in all, it was a crash fest, but it was not a bad race. You had cup drivers in there, you had rookies in there. You were gonna have to expect wrecks. And it was a lot of mistakes made by cup drivers and regulars, like series regulars who's been in there a while. That's made more mistakes. Ross Chastain made a mistake. Thor Sport, the truck series team had trucks go down with I believe engine issues, if I'm not mistaken. If I read that correctly. But other than that, it was a good race. Front row is showing that they're great down the trucks with the lineup of Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith, even though Chandler Smith was kind of quiet today. Or Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, that throws my brain. But that's all I got.
All right, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
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 He
Do
might
it.
be busy doing something. We can
Yeah,
run it back to him.
he might be having technical difficulties. We'll come back.
Oh yeah, no, I just forgot my mic was muted. But
Oh,
yeah,
there you
no.
go.
When you go and cut these races in half, it does not leave a whole lot to talk about. Um, but yeah, definitely glad to see Corey Day got out of that wreck because that one did not look very good at first glance. So very glad to see him escape what could have been a much worse wreck right there.
Yeah, I was looking at my phone and had the the race on the TV, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh, Corey Day's around," and I look up, and all I just see is his truck up in the air, and I was thinking, "Oh dear God, no! Like don't do this right now." And
Yep.
no, it was insane though. But moving on to 12 o'clock on Sunday, the only race out of the entire weekend that was not affected by weather, the Indianapolis 500. Alex Palou started on the pole, and going back to the whole stuff with Kyle Busch, his outreach to just different forms of sports and motorsports and stuff. They did a tribute for him on lap 18 that was so very rudely interrupted by Ryan Hunter-Reay and Catherine Legg crashing on the backstretch.
Ironically, it wasn't the most rude lap 18 interruption this week, but we'll get to the other one.
Yeah, but no, all in all, the Indy 500 was absolutely incredible this year. I think didn't Newgarden go down? Yeah, Newgarden went down with a wreck, and then it was the most lead changes in an Indy 500. I think they had like 50 something lead changes by lap 75.
70. 70 was the final total.
70 lead changes in a 200 lap race around Indy. That's absolutely remarkable.
And for note, just to correct anybody who might be asking if there were more, lead changes are only defined by the changes that actually are recorded line to line. So when the lead changes 14 times down the back straightaway,
It's
it
not
only records
official.
the leader at the line.
Yeah, doesn't count. But no, they had a late race caution, and so they were like, okay, well, we're gonna do a 1 lap shootout, and they had David Malukas, Marcus Armstrong, and Felix Rosenquist, your top three, and Malukas got the lead, or he was the leader. And then they come off of turn 4, and Felix Rosenquist had the most incredible run I've ever seen. Got up alongside Malukas and won in a photo finish, 23 one-thousandths of a second, in the closest Indianapolis 500 in history. 200 laps came down to 23 one-thousandths of a second. I am going to start on our thoughts on the recap with Brett this time.
The one I was not able to watch.
The
Sorry,
one,
Brett.
the
This was a
one,
rough night for me, ain't it?
the one time I come to you first. Okay, Jamie.
Yes.
Uh,
I feel for you, Brett. um, no, the Indy 500 was
don't
cool.
lie to him.
No, I do. Uh, the Indy 500 was cool. It was I Sun- as we go through Sunday, all in all was it like now that I'm like processing and thinking back on it, is it was just kind of cool to see like the trucks. Started with Saturday night with Xfinity. Like you got the distraction. It was like a distraction race where you just got distracted by everything. Uh, the trucks, from the sound of it, sounded like they drove the hardest. It gave what the newer fan would probably want and more wrecks. And then you have the diehard race, the Indy 500. And I had a buddy of mine with me there at my house, and he had never watched IndyCar. He's only ever heard of it, but he was a fan of like racing because he's into like street mods and things like that. So seeing him jump up in excitement with the finish of that race and the moves that were being made, and seeing literal IndyCar history right there in front of him, it made him a fan of IndyCar. But coming from somebody who had never watched an IndyCar race, watched that and jump up in excitement at the last move as they were coming to the line, uh, on an already like real, I feel like this was one of the better IndyCar Indy 500s that I've been watching, and it was therapeutic for me to get excited about racing for a moment. And and the whole day just geared me up for the Coca-Cola 600. And I knew what was coming, but it gave me that sense of, for a brief time, like this is what this weekend's supposed to feel like.
Yeah. And not to mention a couple of things too before we go to the next person. Alexander Rossi was racing with practically a broken hand and a broken foot from a crash that he suffered in practice on Monday. And the some of the post race stuff. Alex Palou was docked 5 points and fined for, I believe, is tampering with the front wing of his car. Something along those lines. But yeah, that was the two big things that I saw. Other than the finish of the race. But JP, what about you?
Alright, so everyone's talking about the fans. So I might as well follow suit. Um, you know, as that week kind of progressed, you had, oh, I usually don't have any car on in my house, but I wanted to see how Captain Lake was going to do with the Coca-Cola 600 and IndyCar. But with that being said, after the reptile of Indy, I continue watching it when I go home from my activity, and and as that week developed, I thought, okay, this is going to be a great finish. Go home with 18 laps to go and sat down with my guy, watched the IndyCar race to the final lap, and I could just tell, I could just tell that it was going to be one of the best finishes that I'd seen in my short time watching the Indy 500, because, you know, you hear about Coca-Cola 600, you hear about Monaco when that was going on, and you hear about Indy. And and I I thought, boy, what a great way. Then I went back and watched the preview for Kyle Busch and saw the wreck, and I just kind of was like, really, the wreck had to happen on lap 18, when IndyCar decided to get on the Kyle Busch. But I thought the race itself being the closest finish in IndyCar history, um, that that's really special um for them, and like Amy said, it gave me so, something to go off of to get ready for Coca-Cola 600. I didn't so much emotion um, when I found out it was, um, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, you just gotta focus on the racing, um, and so the last 18 laps of Indy 500 was me being able to focus on racing.
All right. Eli, I know you were at the track on Sunday, but did you happen to catch any of it? I believe you picked Pato Award.
Say car number 5 for Paddle Award. Let me see. I don't know the finishing order in front of me right now.
I
He was fourth. Well, it's actually short for Patricio Award. So it's also Spanish for duck for those of you guys who like fun facts. Yeah, Spanish for duck. You know, like the animal.
I was so hoping that you were going to mention that. By the way, I was so hoping you were going to mention that at some
What?
point today.
What?
No, Eli and the elf. If you
Oh,
were-
yeah.
All right. Well, now that we got that off our chest, Ryan, how did you feel about the Indy 500?
I thought it was a really good race. It gave us all a full race, start to finish. That really was a pretty good race. I will say I was a little bit shocked when I realized that guys like Felix Rosenquist and um who was the other one, Armstrong, were able to actually make it on fuel because they stopped earlier than everybody else. And I didn't realize they were actually going to be able to make it on fuel from there, but they ultimately were able to make it all the way around. Obviously, a lot of fuel saving going on with the with how heavy the draft is at the Indianapolis 500, which is why lead changes end up so high, is because nobody really wants to lead. Because I think you legitimately burn. I think it's like 3 extra laps of fuel by leading the pack as opposed to being second. So there's a lot of benefit to not being the leader.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you save significantly more fuel by being second than by leading the race. You legitimately will run out of fuel about 4 laps earlier, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's a big part as to why you'll see a lot of, especially when you get teammates near the front. I think it was the Ganassi teammates at one point that were swapping the lead back and forth between Pillow and Dixon. That they were just basically taking turns out in front of the field because they knew they both needed to save fuel.
It's if you think about it like this in a racing in NASCAR terms, it's basically like having to fuel save at a super speedway. You want to be in the middle of the pack. You want to not be the first car in the draft because basically the first car in the line is cutting the air, which is dropping their fuel mileage down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, all things considered, though, it was a really good race. I will say one thing I hope IndyCar doesn't continue to do, but given the fact that they've gotten nothing but good results from it, they're gonna continue to do it. The stupid 1 lap green and white flag to checkers things that they've been doing I think they've done it like 2 or 3 years in a row now, where they'll drop the green flag with 1 lap to go. At some point, it's just not going to go well. I mean, obviously, it led to one of the best finishes of all time, and the closest finish of all time this time. But how many times can you throw a green and white flag at the same time while attempting to go 230 miles an hour into a 90-degree corner and have it go well?
Yeah. You got a point.
So, I mean, that is just one of those things, and I would hate to see a driver get injured trying to overdrive on that 1 lap dash for the trophy.
Yeah.
Also, going back to Alexander Rossi for a moment, not only was he battling through his the ankle issue that he had from the crash on Monday, he also had to go to a backup car, which was ironically the exact same car he had ran last year's Indy 500 in. And it suffered the
Oh wow.
exact same fate and caught fire for the second year in a row. The same exact chassis. Something tells me
Yeah.
that he will not be bringing that chassis back. If for no other reason than
I
that
don't
is
I
some
don't think
bad
so.
luck for the same car to catch fire twice in a row.
Nope. But moving on to Sunday evening, the penultimate race of to close out Memorial Day weekend, the Coca-Cola 600. Obviously, we touched on the pre-race stuff that they did, but once again, the next gen car continues to deliver on mile and a halfs, especially Charlotte. Um, Qualifying was rained out, so they set it by the matrix, and it was Reddick on pole, and it turned into the Joe Gibbs show for the better part of the race. It was either Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, or Ty Gibbs up front, and then you threw Reddick in there, and then we've got to give a shout out to Shane Van Gisbergen for getting up there and leading some laps too, and Kyle Larson was just kind of there. Saw a few really, really hard wrecks too, with one being Austin Cindric and Connor Zilic, and then the other one was that big multi-car wreck on the backstretch with Priest, Briscoe. I think Busher was in it. Blaney got a piece of it. It was kind of a melee there, and it was right after SVG took the lead too. But well, we get down to the nitty gritty of it. About 35, 36 laps to go. The rains came yet again. Well, according to my buddy, it was like sprinkling in turns 1 and 2, and then they had a big lightning strike, which is what initially threw the caused NASCAR to throw the caution to begin with. And everybody's thinking, oh, lightning strike, it's going to be a 30-minute hold and all that, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, we're good, we're gonna keep racing, it's moving away from the track. And we're like, it kind of caught everybody off guard. We're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on now. And then it started raining. Daniel Suarez, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Daniel Suarez, his crew chief, decided to make a gutsy call and go with 2 tires on the pit stop, which got him the lead. They did restart the race, and then ultimately about 6 laps later threw the caution for rain, and it would stop raining and then start raining and then stop, and like every time they went to take the green flag. And then ultimately it started raining hard enough to where they were going to lose the track, and NASCAR brought them down pit road, threw the red flag, and within 4 or 5 minutes they called the race, and Daniel Suarez gets his 3rd career victory in the Cup Series for Spire Motorsports in the number 7, which we've touched on it and talked about it. It was in a weekend full of tragedy. It was bookended by a driver winning a race in the car number and for the same team that Kyle Busch got his final career win in just a week prior. And yeah, that's about all I can say. I'm going to start with Brett, get his thoughts on the race.
I finally can have some input. Sorry. So I have 4 things that I was gonna input on. The Toyota show. That's what it was mainly, between Joe Gibbs, 2311, and then I will throw my boy Jones in there. He did get in the top 10 a couple times. So it wasn't a whole, but the amount of speed those Toyotas had on that mile and a half. The second thing, the battle between 2, 4, and no tires. That's what made the Coca-Cola 600 interesting, because you could have cars that stayed out on no tires or didn't go in for any tires, like SVG, who was able to hold his own. Then you had 2 tires like Suarez and who was the other guy who took 2, and I can't think of his name. Anyways, there was another guy who took 2 tires.
SBE
His name,
Was it
was,
Zane Smith?
yeah, Zane Smith. Thank you.
yeah,
You're
Was
welcome.
able to, yeah, was able to stay out and like get 2 tires and be able to hold. But then at some points, like Gibbs and Chastain, McDowell and Nemechek, they all drop like rocks with those different pit strategies. It was the unknowing of what was going to happen on a restart that made that race fun. My final point, and it's going to irritate Eli to death. Catherine Legg officially ran more laps in the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 than Larson did in his double attempt. I'm done. I'm done.
Oh man, that was good. That was good. Man. Before we move to the next person, you got to. I saw a lot of people complaining about Suarez winning. You know, oh, they just handed him the win because they wanted the feel good story and all that good stuff. You know, they didn't hand Suarez the win. He had to earn it. He held off Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin on 2 restarts to keep the lead. Like the 2 best cars, technically of the night, he held both of them off on 2 restarts and still ended up coming out with the lead and then ultimately getting the victory. But let's go to Jamie.
I'm so glad you said that because I was getting ready to go off on a tangent about the amount of people that was saying that Suarez was just gift wrapped it a win, and I'm like, no, that boy. Yes, he had two new tires on that car, but he drove the heck out of that thing, making the blocks that he needed to make, maintaining pace, not missing a gear, not messing up a restart, literally driving the best way that he possibly could. A solace and everything. I posted a picture on it on Monday morning, but to cap off the entire weekend, you take the winners and you go and start at 34, you subtract 9, you subtract 7, and it comes out to 18. That doesn't happen by chance. That is not anything that'll happen on any given Sunday. It is a ribbon to send us off into the future to cap off what was already an emotional weekend. But to the actual racing that was at hand, I don't recall a race where the Cup drivers had as much trouble with this track as they did this weekend. Because I remember getting bored to tears watching Coca-Cola 600s and Kyle Larson just dominate. And the only cautions you would have would be the stage breaks. I don't know what was up with these cars. Maybe it's the maybe it's the package with the increased horsepower that was giving them the fits. I don't know, but drivers were having a hard time.
They
The
were
20 the
they were running the
2014.
standard package this weekend.
Oh, that was a standard.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know what it was, but I know that 2014 couldn't get out of their own way. They had every potential problem they could possibly have, and still ended up finding themselves on the lead lap. So hats off to that team for just continuing to battle. But yeah, my main point was exactly what you said right before I got on, was about the whole gift wrapping of the win to Daniel Suarez when he earned that dang thing.
Yeah, he really did. JP.
alright. So, I hope I don't ramble, but I have plenty to say about Daniel Suarez winning this race. So here it goes. Um, you know, we we as the media, we as podcasters always look and say, you know, who who's really going to do well this weekend, and did I have Daniel Suarez on my bingo card to do well? I and the answer is yes, and let me tell you why. He building up to his win. He's had so much momentum ever since he made a special appearance and I got to talk to him. Um, ever, ever since that time, my my amigo, uh, Daniel Suarez has some speed. So I saw this win coming. Before I just had a feeling, that every scar was going to align. He endured two restarts like you all have been talking about. When he endured one restart, I'm thinking, okay, how long can he hold him off for? And then they flew the caution for more rain. And then the second restart, um, I was thinking, okay, again, how long can you hold off? And then they parked the car down pit road, and of course we know what happened. They called the race 5 minutes later. And, you know, for someone like me that talks to these people and then you sit there and watch them have success, that that's very flattering to a person like me when you feel like you know the person, you had a hand in what they said recently in an interview, and I was just very flattered that he won that race, and e- everyone, including Suarez, did the battle this weekend. So that was something that I thought was very touching to have everyone do the battle, um, from Cup, O'Reilly, and Cook series. Um, so yeah.
All right. Eli, what about you, buddy?
it was a bad push by Ricky to Ross is what started.
As they Ross threw a late block on Ricky.
Yep.
You can make your DraftKings. Yep.
In the membrane. Sorry.
Well, also, I'll, I'll add on to that. So, for those of you that open green, I got to talk to a man about a month ago on my private stuff, and in that interview, he just was talking about a mile and a half program that he felt like Las Vegas was a good run, and and this the mile and a half program for that 7 car was getting to be really decent, and he said he looked forward to more mile and a halves, and I could not help but notice the confidence he had during that interview. During that 10 minutes I had him, he he just had so much confidence in that team. You could tell he made the right move to go to the Spire team with that number 7 car.
He didn't take Suarez.
No.
Yeah, just wait till he tells you about his next Core Illinois championship pick.
Yeah. Yeah, we got you. Ryan, what about you, bud?
Mute monster, Ryan. Mute
Did the
monster.
mute monster get you?
Yeah, all things considered, I think the Coke 600 was a very solid race. I know for some people it might be a little long, but all things considered, I really enjoyed it. Um, and I say it was a really good kind of 300 and what 320, 330 laps of therapy that we had.
Yep. Yeah, somewhere around that ballpark. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
I
it was no, it
don't
was
remember
slight.
exactly how far we got before the sky opened up and the rain came down.
I think when they went under the red, there was 34 to go. So they
Was
went
it
like
34 to go? So we got 360.
yeah, yeah, somewhere
All
around there.
right. So yeah, again, it was just it was some much needed therapy. I think for all of us out on the racetrack, 4 wheel
They
therapy, the best there is.
looking at the race timeline on the app, they threw the red on lap 374. So
Okay, so yeah, right
26 to
about
go.
yeah. So, but still, there's a 4 wheel therapy, best therapy there is out there. So
Yep. And just to close out that recap segment, I did see on social media after the checkered flag was ultimately thrown, that was the first time in NASCAR history where all three series running on the same weekend did not meet their scheduled distance,
yep.
which is crazy to think about in NASCAR's 78-year history. But
Well, the Truck
we're
Series has only been around since '95,
right.
so that for it to be 3 series, it's
Yeah.
a little bit less history.
Yeah. But we're
Still,
going to
a staggering stat.
Oh yeah, yeah. But we are going to move into our next segment. It is no longer green flags and black flags. It is now titled "Idiots of the Weekend."
That's
And
unfortunate. I had a great green flag.
well, I mean, you can throw it in there if you'd like. But "Idiots of the Weekend" comprises of anything motorsports related that you happen to see over the weekend that was just completely stupid, idiotic, and I think the majority of us have probably the same one, but I'm going to kick it off.
You haven't kicked it off with me all night. So,
Um, Chris Wright,
oh,
dude, what are we doing? Why are you gonna come off of turn 4 and just absolutely clear yourself across 3 lanes of the track and just absolutely annihilate somebody? Like, why? Just why? Like we seriously need to have a Chris Wright conversation about him being in NASCAR.
At this point, I think it would qualify as an intervention.
Something, something that was. I really didn't see anything else much over the weekend, but that was probably one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen on a racetrack. Period. Um, but Brett, you got anything besides that? I'm sorry if I took yours.
I was so excited. So excited for that.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, if you want to add on to it, be my guest.
I will. It's just in a racing deal, if you know you have cars, and it's not even just on Chris Wright. His spotter should have been on that without a second thought. His spotter can see everything that Chris can't. So if the spotter missed it, that's something on the spotter just as much as Chris. One other thing that I want to kind of point out, the tire debris during the Coke 600, which caused the 66 to basically catch on fire towards the end of the race. The tire carcass got stuck up in there and it actually caught on fire, and that's why he caught on fire. But it's a good thing that he's safe. The safety crew got there and stuff like that.
No, it's actually funny that you mentioned the tire debris. Brandon sent me some pictures and videos from the race, and one of the videos that he sent me was him getting absolutely smoked by a piece of tire rubber that had come off one of the cars, and he said it like knocked the phone out of his hand and everything. But Jamie, what about you? You have any idiots of the weekend?
The idiot of the weekend that goes to me, that for me goes to just some of the people that I've been chatting with on the NASCAR online community page on Facebook. I don't understand for the life of me why Catherine Legg
I'm
was the focal
going to
point
eat after
of the
this.
JP mute,
J
please.
JP, please mute your mic.
Why she was the focal point of Indy, and like, yeah, she's doing the double, but there, like, you could have named any other person. I would have been more excited to see somebody run a double than Catherine Legg.
Let's get Timmy Hill in the double next year.
Say what?
Let's get Timmy Hill in the double next year.
No, screw that. Let's put Cletus out there. That everybody will watch that.
Oh boy, that he might legitimately kill people in the Indy car.
But from an entertainment standpoint, like Catherine Legg, like no offense to her, and I don't mean any type of disrespect. She is not a marquee name in NASCAR. She's not a marquee name for IndyCar. People barely even know who she is. But the amount of people that were in an uproar because she wrecked out and then had the tire issue during the 600, it I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that I just want somebody more interesting to try and do the double, but it was just crazy to me, like how many people were in an uproar because she lost a tire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, granted, the wreck in the Indy 500 wasn't necessarily her fault. She was trying to avoid Ryan Hunter-Reay coming back up the track, but still, I agree with what you're saying. Like, if you're going to advertise someone doing the double, it's make it like someone who's marquee and people actually know who they are.
Also,
But
maybe announce the double attempt before the Tuesday or Wednesday practice at Indianapolis, so we can be talking about it for longer rather than having it be
Yeah,
like an afterthought.
yeah. It was
That was
almost
the other
like
thing, is the fact that they didn't announce it until literally, like, I think it was literally the second day of Indy 500 practice.
she woke up and was like, "Oh hey, I want to do this. Let's do this." And then
Mm.
media had to kind of like quickly ramp up, like, "Oh, we all of a sudden got this person who's going to do the double. It's Catherine Legg. Be excited, everybody!"
yep.
Yep.
What about you, JP?
Sorry about that, football. Um, no, Kevin Lake gets my idiot of the week. Be- because, um, you know, you guys have both, um, all have talked about the tire situation, but I want to go get something she did in the ending up at 500. Um, lap 18 when they on the Kyle Busch, you sit there and say, you know, uh, causing needed to be thrown, but, you know, you guys were saying that they need to hype up and basically we need to know who's doing the Indianapolis 500 and Coca-Cola 600 and have it be a good driver. Definitely could not tell me anything this weekend. Yeah, she was a good driver for the job, you know?
Well, and to her credit, she wasn't in race contending cars in either of those two attempts. I mean, I
Yeah,
think we all know that you could put Kyle Larson, you could put Prime Dale Senior in the BJ McLeod Motorsports car. He's probably finishing about 25th, about 5, 6 laps down minimum with
yeah,
Prime Dale Senior in that car, and let's just be honest, what was it, third or fourth string AJ Foyt car in the Indy 500? Also, not a premier ride. I mean, obviously, it's more of a pack race, so anyone could win, but
yeah,
yeah, I say neither one of those cars were exactly cream of the crop rides, unlike Larson the last couple of years with McLaren and Hendrick.
Yeah. Eli, what about you? All
I got
right then.
one more thing to say.
Sure.
Just the Eli with the credit card and the Elf products. I'm just gonna give it to you right there.
Honorable mention to Chase Elliott for just wrecking by himself.
Yeah. Ryan.
So for my idiot of the week, I'm gonna give it to one that we probably haven't actually thought of too much. Let's give it to Mother Nature because that I think is someone who deserves idiot of the week given her performance this week.
Yep.
That's not.
Hadn't rained in North Carolina in a month and a half, and then just decided to dump on the track all weekend.
Oh,
Yep.
don't. It's still dumping down here.
Oh yeah, same down here too. But all right, we're gonna go into our next segment. They are racing at Nashville Super Speedway this weekend. Eli, I hear you tapping over there.
He's still trying to tap his card to undo the purchase of the Elf products.
Hey. All
You
right.
lost an Elf.
I had to get that dig in at you, Eli.
Yeah, but they are racing at Nashville this weekend. Jesse Love is in the Spire 7 truck for in the Truck Series race.
Spire 77.
77. I'm sorry, 77.
Yep.
And then we talked about it earlier. Parker Retzloff is in the 62 Toyota, considering he does drive for Chevy in the O'Reilly Series. Some other notables: Cletus McFarland is back in the RCR 33 in the O'Reilly Series race. And Austin Hill has been listed as the driver of the 33 for RCR in the Cup race. It is a Sunday night race again. on this weekend, which I am excited for. I love night races. Um, the only thing that I don't like about Nashville, and I've heard this from a lot of people, is they do not allow you to bring your own cooler to the track. And I know there was a lot of people falling out when those races used to be run during the day in the middle of July a couple years ago. But we are going to go into our race picks. I do have our names on the wheel here, and I will give it the old spin. And the first pick goes to Mr. Ryan.
All right. So first pick for Nashville this upcoming week. It's a tough one. I don't feel like it's a really. I don't feel like there's any one driver that necessarily is really well known for just crushing you at Nashville. Uh, hmm. I guess since it's an intermediate track, I'll take one of my Denny uses here.
All right, so Ryan takes the number 11, Dennis the Menace. We haven't said that name on here in a long time. Next
Or
pick.
you limit us to only 2 uses of people. We gotta be careful with when we use them.
Yep. Next pick goes to JP.
Alright, so JP is going to take a gamble, a big time gamble, and go with the 7 car of Daniel Suarez. 2 in a row, Daniel Suarez.
I knew you were going that route. I already had it typed out.
Right.
Not even joking. Next pick goes to Brett.
I'm actually gonna pull a JP and actually go wild card on this. I'm actually gonna go Zane.
All right. I mean, not a bad pick, honestly.
At least see where you're coming from with that.
Well, he finished top 2 in Nashville before. He's running on a hot hand right now with I believe he finished top 10 in the
Yeah,
600.
he held on for 8th, I believe.
So I'm gonna run a hot hand for right now.
All right, next pick goes to Jamie.
How did I know? This is I really like how you restructure with race picks, Greg, because it makes us think outside the box because of the limited uses. But this is the first time in podcast history where you can say the sentence that Zane Smith was sniped from me.
Sorry, Jamie.
No, don't be sorry. It's a great pick. Because I was kind of like just looking at stats and just trying to figure out who on earth do I want to take that I know I would never pick anywhere else. And Zane was on the top of my list. Do you happen to know like who all I've chosen so far, Greg?
Yeah.
I do not have it in front of me right now.
Okay. Well, I'll give a name, and if I've chose this person too many times, just let me know after.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Bubba.
I don't think you've picked Bubba at all this year.
Okay. That's gonna be
All
my
right.
pick for Nashville because he seems to have a knack for that track.
Yeah.
He just gets himself into bad situations late.
All right, second to last pick goes to Eli. All right. And somehow, some way, I'm last tonight on the wheel, but I am going to take the 22 of Joey Logano for this weekend. And as always, I will get the remaining picks this week. But before we close out the show tonight, We do have some trivia lined up for you guys, and I did find a trivia question, but Ryan also has one as well. So I'm going to let him ask his first, and it is Kyle Busch themed. So Ryan, take it away.
All right. So yeah, one of the things I personally remember Kyle Busch most for is just how versatile he was in being able to win almost any given week, especially throughout the 2010s. So the trivia question for tonight: yeah, how many different racetracks between Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup did Kyle Busch win at?
Got one question with that.
Yep,
Is it counting? So say he won Xfinity and Cup at the same track. Is that one or is
that's
that
one
two?
track. Yep,
Okay, thank you.
All right.
yep.
Eli, you want to start it off? No. Brett.
I got it. I'm gonna say 8.
All right.
8 different tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jamie.
Just to be clear, did you say this is solely with NASCAR or just in general?
Yeah, through Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup combined.
Okay. Um,
No, you're good, buddy.
I'm gonna go. He's been around for forever, so I know that he's probably double digit track. 24. We'll go 24.
All right, not a bad pick.
All right, JP.
All right. I'm going triple digits.
What?
I'm going. I'm going. Uh, let's see. There's how many tracks are there in Cup Series and combined? All right. How about 62?
62. All right.
All
Eli.
right, JP. Remember, if you want it, his wins it, huh? It's in his career. Yep.
Oh, I heard the question wrong.
Yeah. No. How
52.
many different tracks did he win at in his career across Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup?
Just give an answer, Eli.
You did the same thing to me.
Knowing you, you're probably just gonna go one more than me, which I chose 24. So you're probably gonna go with like 25 or 23 just to be smart.
Can I get another answer, by the way? Ryan, since I heard the question wrong.
Sure. I kind of assumed you heard the question wrong when you said 8.
I heard. I heard 2010, so I thought you just meant that single season.
No, it's not. I did mention how he dominated through the 2010s, but all right,
All right, Brett. You want to re-guess?
I was gonna say 34.
all
All right.
right,
I'm gonna guess 28.
all right, and that's everybody's guesses in.
Yep.
One person did get it right on the dot, and that is Eli with 32 different tracks.
Well,
So he cheated.
Well, hold on. Let me ask this question real quick. Do we count the Daytona Road Course when he won the Clash?
I think this number I think was only counting points races.
Okay, understood.
Okay. I think
And
I
it
think I was
also I
thinking
did
of
note
like
it. I
just
did when I
NASCAR
was going through the count.
series.
The thing I did look for was it counted Bristol and Bristol Dirt as the same venue. That was another thing I looked for because I do remember Kyle Busch winning Bristol Dirt in 22.
Not happy about that one, by the way. Still. Eh.
He's
All
happy
right,
about all
so
products.
Eli gets the bonus point for that one, but I do have a trivia question
Does he get the
myself.
bonus point for having the answer written on his wall?
Yes, I'm gonna give it to him.
Okay.
All right.
I just know we're usually all about the no Googling and stuff.
Yep.
Got it. So I just need to post a bunch of NASCAR facts on my wall next time Jamie's got trivia coming up.
All right. So
can't believe that.
as stated a few minutes ago, they are racing at Nashville Superspeedway this weekend. The inaugural season for Nashville Superspeedway was 2001. On August 11th, 2001 was the inaugural NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. Who won that race?
ooh.
Starting with Brett.
Hornaday.
All right. Jamie?
You said 2001.
Yes.
Well, there was only two guys that was actually, well, technically three known guys back then. There was Hornaday, Sprague, and Skinner, who were the ones that were really good back then. So I'll go with Sprague. Maybe I'll get that right.
All right. JP?
I'll go with Skinner.
Only because I said it.
No.
All right. All right. Eli? Okay. Ryan?
Hey, Eli got the first trivia question right. I'll follow him. Biff.
All right. None of you got it correct.
Okay.
The inaugural NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner at Nashville Superspeedway was Scott Riggs.
Okay.
Greg Biffle won the inaugural O'Reilly race in April of 2001.
Oh.
All right.
All right, so I will get the bonus point for that one.
I
But
forgot there.
But that is going to close out our show tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing your thoughts and just, remembering a great driver and all that good stuff and, recapping a tumultuous weekend of racing. This is definitely our longest episode we've ever recorded. We knew it going in. But just want to give a shout out to Circle B Diecast for sponsoring this podcast. Be sure to use promo code LAPDOWN at checkout for $5 off your order. But until next time, I am Greg, and for Brett, Jamie, JP, Eli, and Ryan, this has been the Lap Down, and we will see you guys right after Nashville.